Is it over? It's over. I think it's over. Alright guys, so there's three things I want to talk to you guys about. One, first and foremost, I got a tan now. I sit outside for like 2 days for work, and this is what happens. So you can notice I have little sunglass marks around me. Two, the disc golf giveaway. I had somebody ask about it. I'm going to be giving this away sometime in July. I don't want to wait too long, but I also don't want to not give enough people a chance to enter that contest. If you haven't seen that, I'm going to put a link to the video here. All you got to do is go comment on that, and be a subscriber. So if you're not a subscriber, hit the subscribe button down there. The third thing is, this happened. Aww.
I like how you crashed it right into the tree.
So that happened. I'm going to show you guys how to fix the damage, and hopefully it's going to work. So enjoy, guys. High five the penguin. I almost forgot. One thing you're going to need is a little 32-bit screwdriver set. It's got lots of tiny screwdrivers and Torx bits. I got this from Harbor Freight for like $7. I'm going to link you to one on Amazon that's like $8 if you want to order that. If you got a Harbor Freight, go buy it there. The other thing you're going to need is, I'm shooting this after the video, all the repairs are done, but this little piece right here is what broke. There's a kit that comes with a new cable and a new one of these, and all of the other pieces on Amazon. I'm going to link it there. So if you guys need these same parts, click below to go get it. Okay, so we're going to start on the Phantom with removing the logic board here. If you look there, you can see this is where the gimbal broke off, right there on that pivot arm. Like I said, it just hit so hard. And if you look right here, the first thing we need to do is remove these clear tabs. The best way to do that I found is to take a little flat tip screwdriver out of our 32-bit set that I got, and you push down, you pull up so you expose one side, and then you just pry out all the way around. So once you pull this logic board down, you can go ahead and disconnect this gray wire with all the connections. Be careful with these. So we'll disconnect that, and now these are your two antenna wires. Just to make sure that I don't mix them up later, I'm gonna go ahead and put a black mark on a black dot right here on the side where the black cable goes. There's a black one and a gray one. Now in order to get these little doors off, there are some screws on this side, and we're gonna need to use our tiny little Phillips to get those off. And be careful with these, but you can just reach in and pop them off with your fingernail. There's the black one, and I know which side that goes to because of the black wire. So now we'll move this drone out of the way, and we have the logic board and the rest of the gimbal here, and our new arm, and don't forget the cable. Our next step is we're going to open up the rest of this logic board, and what we need to do is take out the rest of these Phillips screws on this side of this logic board. So we'll pull this sticker off so we can get to them. There's also, if you look right in there, right there. That's the Allen key for the pivot arm. So we're going to want to break that loose. And then we just want to loosen it just enough to pull the pivot arm up. Piece of adhesive right there that we can scrape off that we're going to have to replace. So now there's a little bearing in here. Make sure you don't lose that. I happen to stay in. Now you can see there's a little flip here. You push that up like that. See from the side there. And then you can just pull out the connector like so. And then you can peel the rest of this wiring adhesive off. And that's part of our old wiring that we're going to replace. You can pull this old pivot arm off, and this Allen key goes on the flat side of that arm like this. Okay, so now that we have our logic board completely exposed, it's going to be time to pull out our flex cable out of the packaging. Here, it's going to be going in there eventually. Next thing is we want to pull out I'm going to pull the old screw, and I'm just going to get that started in the new yaw arm. We'll put our yaw arm on, and it faces this way. What we're going to do is we're going to pull off the first two sticky materials here. So what you're going to do is you want to insert this, and you want to make sure there's nothing showing. So it's all the way in there, and then you can lock it down. So remember how that was sticking up before? Now it's down. And this adhesive part is going to fit right into the corner of that pivot arm. So there's that. Now we're going to put this cover back on, but first we're going to remove this sticky part here, this adhesive, because that's going to stick to that top cover. Well, now there's that bearing in there. You don't want to lose that, and don't forget it. Now that sat on there pretty nice, and then we're just going to stick that adhesive right in there on that spot like there. We can slide this cover back on. There we go. Now we can tighten that down. You don't have to crush it down, just get it snug so it's not going to go up and down, because these screws will help hold it in too. So there's that. Now these four corners can go back in. Okay, and there, now we have that part done. For the next step, we need to open up this yaw arm casing, pull the control board off, and get the motor out of this yaw arm, and then attach the new yaw arm and motor to this assembly. Motor connected to it. Now what you want to do is there's only these 3 Phillips screws here holding that motor. So now the motor's free, but this flex cable is still stuck here. We can pull this through, and I'm just going to go ahead and rip the rest of this flex cable down to there. Okay, to line up this new motor, or the old motor, into the new housing. So it goes on this side, and this flex cable goes through that slot there. Alright, so that part is now reattached. So you can kind of see how it's starting to come together here. Alright, so once you have that much done with the motor installed, now what you need to do is you need to connect our new flex cable here and the old flex cable from the motor back to this logic board. Then you can put this cover back on. Alright, finally. That was not a fun one, guys, so ooh. You know what we did? We did something. We put this on upside down somehow. How the heck did that happen? Alright guys, word to the wise. Before you go and tighten this motor down in here and put these covers back on, make sure that your camera is sitting with the SD card slot up. When you have this motor separated, it's easy to get it turned 180 degrees that way, and then the SD card's on the wrong side and it's not going to work right. So I had to take this back apart. Luckily I was able to just move that board out of the way, loosen the screws and get it to go right back, but keep an eye out for that when you do go and when you're doing this yourself. So now that we've gotten this far, we have our new cable coming down right here. The next step is going to be to remove this whole camera setup from this pivot motor section. These are Torx screws. You can see it's 5 points, and just for point of reference, it happens to be a T6 size Torx bit. We'll have this screw under here, and that's what holds on your camera. So we will go ahead and remove that screw. So now we have our camera module separate. So now you have access to these screws on your pivot motor. Now that you have the camera removed, you're going to remove the cover from the pivot arm. There we go. This is the circuit board that sits in here, and it has another one of those sensors on there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull this out on here a little. Push that down. There's some adhesive on here that's going to stick this to that little pad there. Let's go ahead and remove that. Okay, this just goes right in here and flip it down. Now, go ahead and slide this through here. Once you have that there, you just kind of lay it back over. And now you're ready to go ahead and put these 4 screws back in. Okay guys, so sorry about the audio here. I'm having to do a voiceover because I lost everything. It was just all static from my lav mic when I was shooting this. But what I'm saying here is I want you guys to put the flat side of that camera to the flat side of that shaft, because they're D-shaped and you want them to be regular, and you want it to be facing the right way when it hits the stops here. That's what I'm demonstrating there. Now I'm going to show you guys how to install that screw. That's one of the toughest screws to get in. I'm going to go ahead and speed it up. Here you go. Okay guys, so now that we got the camera reattached, what I want to do is you're going to have to wrap this cable around, and this for me was the most challenging part of the entire process. So you have to wrap the camera around, and it actually has to go under itself. It's just difficult to do, so it takes me quite a while to do it. I'm going to speed it up. Just know that when you're finished, it needs to be facing so that the sticky part sticks right into that groove right there on the inside. Alright guys, so here we are. It's pretty much wrapped most of the way around. You can see how it goes under itself there. It wraps around twice, and it's going to sit right down in there. Let's see if we can get it in there. I'm going to show you guys here how it should sit. So it should sit in that groove exactly like that once you get the sticky stuff off. So you can see there, and it's going to connect to that circuit board. Okay, so once you get that all stuck on there, you just have to connect the circuit board to the connector and then fold it down in there. This can actually be a lot trickier than it looks, and it might have taken me a while, but it looks like we got it on there. So then you're just going to reattach the cover, and we're pretty much home free at that point, guys, because all we need to do is reattach the whole thing to the drone on the bottom. Alright guys, I'm sorry about that. I had a little technical difficulty with my camera. The memory filled up, but all I've done basically is I got a new one of these for one that was torn from the crash, and I took these new clips right here. These come in your DJI kit. You remember we pried out these, the old ones on here so that we could get this whole thing to come off. I didn't trust the old ones again because I didn't want to use fatigued plastic, but so I basically just connected this back on. After we connected these wires, I have that video. So now we are back together. I'm gonna get a battery and hopefully do a small test here and see if this thing calibrates and sits level. Okay guys, so I got a battery in there now. We're gonna give it a shot. It's a moment of truth. Hopefully this thing works. There it is. Okay, so it's a little bit windy out here, but I'm gonna take this drone for a little test flight, make sure our repairs worked with the camera. So here we go. Alright, looks like she works.